Alex Alegria. He is the main figurehead behind the Mariachi Festival, which is taking place in Vancouver on Saturday. Thanks for calling through, Alex.
Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, no problem at all. It's really wonderful to talk to you. This is a real world-class festival that's held this weekend, but not only in Vancouver. You've pioneered this festival yourself. We'll talk about the festival soon, but I just wanted to give people some background about mariachi music generally. Would you say it is indigenous music from Mexico?
Definitely, yes. This indigenous music that was born around the 1600s to worship the gods back in the day. And originally it was first, the music was instrumental, and then in the Aztec language they added some lyrics. And when the Spaniards came to Mexico, some of the songs were rescued, and we did the songs in Spanish, what we do right now. The music evolution has grown, and the mariachi has become very popular, first in Mexico, and then through television and movies it became popular pretty much everywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone's very familiar too with the sound and also the costumes. The costume of the mariachi, when did that part come in?
The costume of the mariachi comes from the word is charro. Charro is the person who owns the land, who owns the ranches, and usually is a very well-spoken person and very rich person. So all the outfits are made of gold or silver, the authentic original outfit. So what they did is that they took that image of the charro as the image of the mariachi in 1929, when the mariachis were introduced to national television in Mexico, to have a very nice, clean, and elegant face of the musicians.
Okay, and that sort of point occurred when the music moved from being more of a rural tradition to being more of an urban tradition. Is that when that sort of transition might have happened?
The thing is that before that, everything was more like rural, and everything was more like for a small town. But it started to become very, very famous. And the Mexican president at that time, he became in love with this kind of music, and he invited one of the mariachis to move to Mexico City. And then when he did that, he requested that these groups were introduced to national television. So when that happened, he wanted to present a group that looked really elegant, because that would be the new image of the Mexican identity. And
I mean, it's been very successful because it really is what people identify with, Mexican culture is mariachi, like globally.
Exactly, yeah, that's the image that represents the country pretty much.
And image is one thing, but there's still behind it is still incredible music. And I noticed that vocals are always profoundly important, and it's interesting that there's not necessarily one lead singer, as distinct in a lot of Western music.
Exactly, that's one of the beautiful things about this ensemble, that most of these musicians, they play, but they also perform and sing, enriches the whole scenario. They do great harmonies with vocals, and they also do duets or solo singer. So it's a very unique ensemble where we can go from very traditional to cumbias, rancheras, and of course to classical as well.
And that really implies a huge range of emotion as well in the subject matter of the songs.
Definitely. One of the things that is very recognized for mariachi music is that it can be very sentimental, very painful, very dramatic, very loving, but also extremely very happy.
Yourself, how did you... so you are a national, of course, of Mexico. When did you arrive in Canada?
I arrived in Canada in 1996. And in 1997, I started to play mariachi music on my own on the street in Vancouver. And eventually, I met a couple guys, and they joined me, and the group decided to grow. By 2003, we formed the group called Mariachi Los Dorados, and ever since, the group is starting to become quite known in the city, and eventually the idea came out of putting together an international mariachi festival, featuring mariachis, dancers, and performers from Mexico and other countries, just to bring more tradition, more history, sounds and colors of Mexico to this beautiful country.
Absolutely, and I mean, you in this part in Western Canada, it definitely, you started everything here and you built it from scratch. Is there people elsewhere, like in the East, that you're aware of as well? Like, I know you want to make this festival across the whole country eventually. How is that looking, as the prospect of that?
The idea of making this festival across the country is getting there. When we started at the beginning, it was very small, and it wasn't only in Vancouver. Now we have done the whole province. Next year, we already have bookings and reservations for adding Alberta, and we are planning to go from west to east. And yes, the plan is there. Regarding the mariachis in other provinces, I know that there are some in Ontario and Montreal. I don't know how big they are and how often they perform, but for sure, this is the only recognized mariachi festival in the country. And I say it's recognized because we get the approval from the Mariachi Association in Guadalajara. And right now, for example, we have the Master Mariachi, who is the director, the musical director of the International Mariachi Festival in Guadalajara, the land of the mariachis. So he is here with us tonight and during the festival, helping us to direct, musically speaking, the whole festival. Mariachi is very, very famous lately. It's getting a lot of international recognition, and there is a lot of countries that are very interested to bring their team to represent the teams in this amazing festival.
And you yourself as well are playing in Los Dorados. What can you tell me about the band itself? So you formed, I mean, originally, as you were saying, you were a busker, and did the people who joined you eventually in Los Dorados come from that busking scene as well? Or how did the band come about?
I started as a busker on the streets, and then a couple of guys joined to me, and then we put together this group. And I'm very happy because after 10 years, everyone is still in the group, especially those guys who started with me. And the group, I'm very proud of this group because it's a half Mexican. It's actually 4 Mexican born and 8 Canadian born, and they all play the instrument and they all sing in Spanish. So this is one of the most beautiful things that we have, and one of the things that makes this group unique.
I discovered you through Darcy, who is a proprietor of a pub on Main Street, Mr. Brownstone's. How is he involved, Darcy?
The thing is that our friend Darcy, we met him when we were doing a series of performances around Main Street, and he was one of these persons who became, we baptized him in the mariachi music. He became very involved with the music, and originally he asked me for a CD, and we didn't have a CD, so he said that he would help us to promote the music because he was in love with the music. And he told me a very nice story that since he was very little, he had the opportunity to visit Mexico, and the first time he heard mariachi, he became in love with the music, and ever since he collects mariachi music. So he's a very talented person. So he helped us and he produced our first album.
Wow, that's really amazing. Like to find a person with that passion here, yeah.
And you know what? It's not he was on the first one, but it's not the only one. We are very proud to find Canadians that are in love with this music. The thing is that this music is very passionate, and once you hear the music, you get stuck with the music in your head and in your heart. And we are very pleased to Darcy Machenko that he's been always supporting us and helping us to grow as a team and also to keep promoting this amazing music.